Vision is the heartbeat of leadership. It's the steady pulse that gives direction when the world turns chaotic, the force that rallies teams around a shared purpose. A clear vision doesn't just chart a course, it inspires belief that the destination is worth reaching, no matter how rough the journey becomes. But here's the paradox. The same vision that anchors can also imprison. What begins as clarity can calcify into rigidity. Leaders who once inspired movements risk becoming captains, clinging to outdated maps, sailing confidently towards irrelevance because they refuse to adjust their course. This is the quiet tension at the core of leadership, the delicate dance between holding fast and letting go. How do you protect the integrity of a vision without being blinded by it? How do you lead with conviction while staying nimble enough to pivot when the winds inevitably shift? There's no formula, but there is wisdom in recognizing that a vision must breathe to stay alive. For decades, General Electric, GE, stood as a monument to visionary leadership. Under Jack Welch, GE wasn't just a company, it was an empire fueled by relentless growth and diversification and a towering sense of inevitability. The vision was clear: dominate, expand, endure. But visions built on past success often fail the future. When Jeff Immelt inherited that legacy in the early 2000s, the world had already begun to shift beneath GE's feet. Yet, leadership remained anchored in yesterday's blueprint. The 2008 financial crisis didn't create GE's downfall, it revealed it. GE Capital, once the jewel in their crown, became an albatross. The company's sprawling complexity made agility impossible. By the time General Electric realized it needed to change, the world had already changed without it. For decades, GE had been a symbol of innovation and industrial might, the kind of company that others looked to as a model. But over time, what had once made it powerful became the very thing holding it back. The strategies that once signaled confidence began to look like denial. Its leaders clung to legacy models and past successes, mistaking their refusal to pivot for strength. In the end, survival required dismantling the empire piece by piece, a quiet, painful undoing of what had once seemed invincible and untouchable. Now, what's the lesson in all of this? A powerful vision without adaptability is a slow march towards obsolescence. I don't tell the GE story as a distant observer. I've lived a smaller version of it. A few years ago, as I was growing in my leadership journey, I cast a bold vision for a project I believed would redefine success for our team. We had momentum, resources, and a deep sense of purpose. At first, everything aligned. It was the kind of alignment that convinces you that you're destined to succeed if only you push hard enough. But the landscape shifted, quietly at first. Subtle signals from the environment, hesitations voiced by team members, new dynamics we didn't fully understand. I ignored them, or rather, I saw them but refused to interpret them honestly. I told myself what many leaders do. We just need more time, more effort, more belief. By the time I acknowledged reality, we had poured months of energy into a vision that no longer fit the world we were operating in. The result wasn't catastrophic, but it was wasteful. It was disheartening and avoidable. I learned painfully that unyielding commitment can quietly turn into leadership malpractice when it blinds you to change. It's no wonder so many leaders fall into this pattern. Every year, organizations invest over $60 billion globally in leadership development programs designed to craft visionary leaders who inspire, drive change, and chart bold paths forward. But here's the paradox. We've mastered the art of teaching vision, but we've neglected the discipline of teaching adaptation. Most leadership pipelines still worship the heroic archetype, a charismatic visionary who bends the world to their will. What they fail to cultivate is the leader who knows when to bend the vision to meet a world that refuses to stay still. This is why leadership vacuums emerge the moment a great leader steps aside. Organizations remain fragile because they're built around personalities and static visions, not around cultures that know how to evolve. True leadership isn't about defining a vision once. It's about learning how to reshape it continuously without losing its essence. Adaptive leadership rarely makes headlines. It doesn't come with grand speeches, best-selling titles, or the allure of a charismatic leader painting a bold future. There's nothing flashy about it, no instant gratification, no applause for quietly shifting course before disaster strikes. And yet, when the ground beneath an organization begins to tremble, it's this quiet discipline that keeps everything from collapsing. To lead adaptively is to embrace discomfort as part of the job description. It's holding your vision not like a trophy, but like a sculptor holds clay, firm enough to shape it, but never so rigid that it can't be reworked when necessary. It means creating space for voices that challenge you, not because you enjoy dissent, but because you understand that early warnings rarely come wrapped in politeness. Adaptive leaders know that the first signs of irrelevance don't appear in board reports. They surface in offhand comments, uneasy silences, or frontline workers' simple observation that things aren't landing like they used to. More than anything, adaptive leadership demands the courage for release, to let go of ideas that once defined you, not out of failure, but out of a deep commitment to staying relevant, to serving the present rather than clinging to the past. It's an ongoing negotiation with your own ego, a willingness to say, this no longer serves us, and that's okay. And perhaps most importantly, adaptive leaders resist the temptation to be the sole guardian of the vision. They build teams who aren't just executors of a plan, but co-stewards of an evolving purpose. People who know that leadership isn't about defending a static ideal, but about ensuring that the why survives even as the how changes. It's not glamorous work, but it's the kind that leaves organizations standing long after the spotlight has moved on. There's a reason leaders struggle with this question. When do you stay the course? And when do you pivot? It's not a matter of intelligence, strategy, or even experience. It's a matter of discernment. And discernment is forged in reflection, not in reaction. The truth is, there's no dramatic moment where a sign flashes, now's the time to change direction. More often, it's a series of quiet signals. A creeping sense that enthusiasm has dimmed, that the landscape feels unfamiliar, that what once felt certain now requires explanation. I've learned that the leaders who navigate this tension well aren't the ones obsessed with being right. They're the ones committed to being honest. They question their vision before anyone else feels brave enough to. They step back, not just when things go wrong, but when things are going suspiciously well, asking, is this success still aligned with where we need to go, or are we just coasting on momentum? They listen to find friction points instead of always seeking affirmation. They listen when someone on the team hesitates and when a customer's feedback doesn't fit the usual pattern. They lean in. Not every piece of discomfort signals a need to pivot, but ignoring those moments is like sailing past a series of small buoys warning of shallow waters ahead. And when the time comes, because it always does, they don't frame pivot as surrender. They frame it as stewardship. The best leaders I've watched communicate change with a rare blend of humility and clarity. They don't pretend it was part of the plan all along. They say, we've seen something new. And because we care about where we're going, we're adjusting how we get there. It's in these moments, not in the bold declarations of vision, but in the quiet, deliberate course corrections that real leadership shows its face. Because knowing when to hold on isn't about grit, and knowing when to let go isn't about defeat. Because both are not about serving something larger than your pride, but rather about serving the enduring relevance of the work, the people you lead, and the future you're still shaping. Vision and adaptability aren't rivals. They're co-conspirators. Vision gives us something worth striving for. Adaptability ensures we're still moving towards something meaningful when the ground shifts beneath us. The best leaders that I've known, and the kind I strive to become, don't clutch their vision in a death grip. They hold it like a craftsman holds a tool, firmly enough to work with purpose, but loosely enough to adjust when the task demands a different approach. Because leadership isn't about proving you were right from the start. It's about ensuring that what you're building still matters when you reach the end.